Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be answering a bunch of questions that you guys left for me over on my Instagram. It's going to be a little bit of a Q&A. You guys asked me a lot of questions regarding holistic health, women's bodies, cycle syncing, my favorite books, my favorite herbs, my thoughts on birth control, a lot of different things, and I'm really excited to dive deep into them and just share with you guys my thoughts and what's on my heart and who I am in general, because I think that's always really important in this online realm to connect deeper. And I know I've been craving deeper connection, and so through this I hope that we can connect deeper. Okay, let's get started with the first question. Okay, so starting out with a deep one, what's something most people don't know about you? I would say something that most people don't know about me is, I feel like this is a hard question because sometimes I feel like I'm an open book and then my Scorpio sun comes out and is like, well, actually we hide a lot of things underneath the surface. But I would say that one thing people don't know about me that I'm getting better at sharing is that I'm actually very interested in the arts, and I've always been a writer, and one of my biggest dreams is to publish a poetry book, and I'm getting better at sharing my poetry online and just with friends and family in general. But it has been a dream of mine since I was literally in 7th grade, and I would fill my journal pages with poetry and words to share those with the world in some form of a collection. So hopefully one day I will put my work out there in that sort of way, and I definitely have a over 500 page Google Doc of my poetry that I would need to weed through and like weave together somehow. But I already have an idea and I would really love to share it that way. So yeah, that's something people don't know about me, but my close friends probably know that. Okay, the next question is another deep one, and it is, growing up, were you closer to your mom or your dad? And this question I feel like waxed and waned over the course of my life, but I definitely would say I was closer with my mom. My mom was someone that I always saw as my best friend, and my best friends outside of my mom always thought it was such a sweet relationship. So my mom is still one of my best friends and I am really close with her, but I am really grateful that my dad and I's relationship has grown stronger over the years, because that wasn't always the case. And especially when I was struggling with like an eating disorder and all of that stuff, that relationship was really hard and challenging. But my mom has always been a very nurturing Virgo, and she was always there for me and supported me and just like kind of understood. I think she's always been very empathetic. So my mom probably, definitely, I was closer with growing up. Okay, a quote that has stuck with me forever. I feel like this one is a cliche, but it's the quote, "You cannot pour from an empty cup." I feel like I learned this at a very young age in therapy, and it's that you have to take care of yourself first, and that it's not selfish to pour into yourself before you pour into others. And I always think about that when I feel myself feeling very selfish and like needy, when I have this long laundry list of to-dos to make myself feel whole, and I feel a little bit like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't be doing this, I should be like tending to others. But I think it's really important to remember that you have to become an overflowing vessel so that you can pour into others and make them feel full as well. Okay, the next question is, what do you love most about what you do? And I would say what I love most about what I do is that I get to help women connect closer to their bodies, and I get to remind people that food is medicine and just inspire people to see it that way, because that was a very transformative piece for me in my health journey. I used to demonize food. I used to be scared of it. I don't want to talk numbers, but I didn't eat like much at all when I was struggling, and I just really was scared of food. And now that I've transformed that mindset and I see food as a realm to nourish my body and also to like explore different cultures and to experience new experiences and see it as a form of art, really, to just like cook and nourish my body and nourish others. I just love that, and so I'm really excited to like be able to do this with my life and share that with other people. I also love seeing the medicine that surrounds us, and I think it's a fundamental piece of who we are to work with the land and to tend to the land, and it's a crucial part of our relationship with the earth and the health of the earth for us to remember that. And so I really love that I get to take part in that remembering through my art and through my words and through my videos to just inspire other people. So yeah, that's my favorite thing about what I do. Somebody asked me, why do you wear shoes? I don't always wear shoes. I'm not wearing shoes right now. I don't wear shoes when I'm in my yard, but I also wear shoes when it's safe to. I don't want to walk barefoot in the cities. I also don't want to walk barefoot on thorns. Yeah, I wear shoes when it's cold out. My feet get really cold very fast, and it's a principle of Chinese medicine to keep your feet warm in order to keep your womb warm, and I have found that to be true. So yeah, I wear shoes for that reason, but I do wear barefoot shoes, and I make sure that my toes have a lot of space because I've struggled with foot problems from cross country wearing narrow shoe boxes and doing rock climbing and wearing those really awful toe crunchers. So I definitely keep that in mind. Somebody asked me, what is the tattoo that is on your forearm? So I'm wearing a long sleeve that's like really hard to pull up, but I'm gonna show you guys. Okay, so it is actually this lunar moth that I got from one of my good friends, Jesse, that I used to work with. He's a beautiful artist, and I got it after my first solo trip abroad to Italy, and it was just this big transformative time of my life. I had just left a almost 4-year-long relationship from high school. I was 20 years old. I did this big Renaissance travel to my country that my dad grew up in, and I have family there, and I just did this big homecoming and like meeting my ancestors, and it just felt like I was truly blossoming and finally taking a chance on myself. And so that transformation I wanted to document with a lunar moth. It was also my first tattoo. I have 3 now, but it was my first tattoo, and I just love it so much. So yeah, I love lunar moths. I love what they symbolize, like womanhood, the yin energy under the moon, thriving in the light of the moon, and always gravitating towards the light even in the darkness. So there's a lot of symbolism there, but yeah. What books do you read? I have a whole video on like my favorite spirituality books and books on herbalism. I read a lot of those books. I read a lot of books for school on Chinese medicine and natural remedies, and I dive a lot into fantasy. I have read a lot of Sarah J. Maas's novels. I've definitely been in that realm recently. I have a big love for like dystopian type novels. When I was younger, I really loved Harry Potter, and I feel like I still love to kind of like dip my toe in that fantasy world sometimes, just like to remember being a kid. I also really do love Jane Austen novels. I feel like they're articulated very well and really beautifully crafted, and I feel like that fantasy world is just so magical as well. So yeah, if you guys have any book recommendations, I'm always taking them and would love to read them. And also, I am filming this back home, and there's like some construction going on, or somebody's like whacking something, so if you hear like people are like chopping down trees, I think, so just be aware of that. Okay, the next question is how to find local spiritual people to connect with. My best advice for finding soul connections is to do things that ignite your soul. And what I mean by that is to go on walks alone and find things that kind of ignite your soul so that you can pour yourself into those, and naturally those magnetic people will gravitate towards you. And another tip for that is to do things that foster community building in regard to things that you love or like passions that you have. So I would say start up some hobbies, maybe go to a local yoga class or a fitness class, and naturally people that go to those things are very spiritual or like have an intention to pour into their bodies and take care of themselves, and that's very valuable. And so I 9 times out of 10 will find somebody that I click with there. And also just be very open and friendly and inviting. Like, don't close your body off and don't like stare at the floor. Invite yourself and challenge yourself to make eye contact and smile at people, and maybe after a couple times of seeing them at a class, approach them and be like, hey, I really loved your energy. I thought that you looked really cool. I thought maybe it would be fun if we could go and get coffee sometime, or we could go and get a smoothie after class one day, and just like open up that invitation there. Another thing would be to go to sound healing classes or look into doing some type of retreat. I know that those can be expensive, but that would be some recommendations. I also recommend joining maybe hiking groups. I have found that on Facebook there are hiking groups for different areas, and I've actually found a lot of my friends in different areas from those hiking groups. When I lived up in Portland, that's how I met a lot of my friends. The next question is, how do you feel about liver? And my thoughts on liver is that I love it. It actually helped me get my period back because of all of the bioavailable nutrients within it. I will eat raw grass-fed liver in little chunks with honey, and I will also cook it. But I know that there are capsules you can take, and I would definitely recommend them. They have a lot of iron, which is really beneficial for women. They also have a lot of B vitamins, which are crucial for hormone development and also for mental health and just thyroid health in general. So I really do recommend liver if you are struggling with some different health things. I found that it also has really supported my skin. But also just paying attention to it because it is really, really high in B vitamins, and some people are sensitive to it. So I would say try it out if you're interested in it and see how it makes your body feel. I find that I don't need it every single day though. I definitely only need it in my follicular phase, like following my bleed, just to replenish my body, and then I'm pretty set. And sometimes I'll take it in luteal phase to like prepare my body and just like support it really in depth. But yeah, I would say just like pay attention to your body. How do you feel about whole grains and legumes? So there's a lot of like misinformation I feel like online right now about just like lectins and like anti-nutrients in grains and legumes and like don't eat vegetables, carnivore diet. I don't mean to like put any shame on those diets, and like if they're working for you, that's amazing. Bio-individuality, like I'll clap for you and like be like yay. But I also think that there's something to say about looking into why your body can't digest these things, because plants are meant to be a part of a human's diet. I truly do believe that, because they offer so many different gifts that our body can benefit from. And whole grains and legumes offer our body a lot of different prebiotics, which fuel the gut microbes and our gut microbiome to support our health. And so if you're not getting those, you're going to have a very small diversity of microbes in your gut. And if you're following a very animal-based diet, that can be very medicinal for killing off the bad bacteria, but it will also not foster the growth of good bacteria. So you'll be left with a very sparse ecosystem, and so I think it's really important to pay attention to that. And if your body doesn't digest them well, that's okay, but maybe you might want to move in the direction of fostering a healthier environment in your gut so that you can digest them. That's my 2 cents. I would say if you're going to eat them though, please make sure that you are trying to source them from a good place, because usually grains are sprayed with a high amount of glyphosate. Same with garbanzo beans that are in hummus and those sorts of things. They are some of the highest sources of glyphosate, which actually damage our gut. So it's like there's a lot of nuance there, but overall I say if they're organic and they're sprouted and they are coming from a good source and you're able to tolerate them, they are definitely a wonderful part of your diet. Any tips for blemish, spotty skin, and what does it mean if ovulation is quite long? Okay, so for that first part, blemish or spotty skin, according to Chinese medicine, your skin is definitely a reflection of your lung health. And what that means, I would say, is are you stressed? Are you taking a deep breath in? Are you making sure to nourish your body in that way? And also, do you have a lot of mucus in your body? Are you experiencing chronic inflammation? Your lungs are a reflection of the health of your gut. So I would say look at your diet. Are you eating a lot of dairy? Is the dairy inflaming you? Are you eating a lot of soy or grains that might be causing a gut inflammation response? And I would also say to look at when it pops up in your cycle. It could be hormone related, and if it's hormone related, you would want to figure out when in your cycle you're experiencing it. So if it's right before your period starts, it's typically caused by excess estrogen, and so you want to support estrogen detoxification, and you can do that through including in some more cruciferous vegetables like broccoli and cauliflower and arugula. You could also add in a good bitter herb before meals to help support digestion and support your liver. I would really recommend dandelion root or orange peel, especially for skin health. And then topically, I would say less is more. I really love washing my face with raw honey, or the brand Primally Pure has a great charcoal bar cleanser, which is really good at like cleansing the skin deeply. And then I would use rosehip oil topically and kind of leave it at that and just give your skin a break. Let it breathe. If you feel like you need something to help cleanse it, I would also say maybe witch hazel. That can help like really astringe the pores and give your skin a break. Accept that it's okay to have flaws, and maybe go without makeup for a little bit if you also wear makeup, because I find I break out when I wear makeup. It's like this interesting thing, right? Like we wear makeup to feel better about ourselves, and then we break out because we wear the makeup, and then we feel like we need more makeup to cover up the breakouts. But I would say maybe go without makeup. But yeah, also just accepting that we're human and it's okay to have blemishes. I get blemishes. I get clogged pores very regularly. My mom always told me it's a sign of youth that you're creating sebum and that your skin is healthy. And yeah, but exfoliating too is huge. I take a dry brush, a facial dry brush, and just exfoliate my skin. I find I break out when I don't exfoliate, so that's key too. Okay, how do you avoid pregnancy? Okay, so I definitely track my cycle and make sure I know when I'm ovulating. I track cervical mucus and my basal body temperature. And this is called the fertility awareness method, and I can make a whole video on this. I teach it in my course, but essentially you just kind of track when your temperature rises, and then once it's risen for a couple days and stayed at that high temperature and then it goes down, you know that you've ovulated, and then you can kind of keep track of that, and you do that for at least 3 cycles before you trust this method to like learn your body better. And you can also track your cervical mucus as like another additional to that, because typically when you have like clear stretchy cervical mucus, that means that you're fertile and that your cervical mucus can host sperm and keep it alive for like 5 days. So you'd want to avoid unprotected sex during those times. But I also use Lola condoms. Me and my boyfriend just prefer to be extra safe, and we would rather not have a baby right now. Not that babies are bad, but we're not in the time of our life for that. So yeah, we don't mind making that sacrifice, I guess, in that way, to just use condoms and practice extra safe sex. But that's just my personal way I avoid pregnancy. Okay, what's my favorite remedy to heal a broken heart and tap into the divine? I would say my favorite remedy for a broken heart is to journal and to sit in nature and to pour yourself out in that way. But herbally, I always feel like rose is a really great plant ally for a broken heart. I would also look into some flower essences. Flower essences can be a really powerful tool, and I always feel like violets can be a really great flower essence to lean on. They're very gentle and sweet and just help us come out of situations and come out of stagnancy, and sometimes broken hearts can feel like stagnancy. So violet, herbal essence, and then rose, maybe tincture or tea, or add it to a bath. And yeah, lean on rose in that way. And then my favorite herb to tap into the divine is blue lotus. I worked with blue lotus this time last year, and I had such a great experience with it. I had really potent dreams. My dream realm was very activated, and I was definitely regularly communicating with my ancestors. So blue lotus is one of my favorite herbal allies for tapping into the divine. Do I have a goal in life? I have a lot of goals in life. One of my biggest goals from when I was a little girl was to be a mom. So that's one of my goals, to be a mom, to raise aware children, to raise children that love the earth and make a difference. Another goal of mine is to be that myself, to be a child of the earth and a student of the earth, and to, I guess, just live as deeply in harmony as I can. I really want to potentially start a farm one day, a regenerative farm. And another goal of mine is to publish books. And yeah, that's my goals. I have a lot, but those are some of them. How do you build your connection with spirit guides, Mother Earth, God, etc.? I love you. Okay, well, I love you too. And how I do this is sitting alone a lot in nature and just finding stillness, whether that's meditating or going for long walks or simply just like gazing up at the trees, and writing, and finding a flow state. So whatever makes you feel in the flow, whether that's being active, doing yoga, writing, doing art, or whatever it is for you, finding a flow state, sitting in stillness and witnessing nature. This morning I was on a walk and I literally just started crying because I just was filled with this enormous knowing that I was in God's presence, like we always are. And I felt God in the changing of the seasons, watching as the leaves slowly died, but they celebrated this ending with like this beautiful show of colors. And just like this reminding that we are always a part of that constant unfolding and that constant changing, and that change doesn't always have to be scary, because even though it seems like an ending, we're gonna be returned to the earth. Like, these things are going to be returned to the soils of our beings, whether that's an ending in relationships or our lives. These things are going to be returned to the earth and decomposed and transformed into something new. And we can choose to celebrate that, or we can choose to not celebrate it. And that's our choice to have, but God's always present along the way. And yeah, it's just beautiful to be cyclical and a part of a cyclical being. So yeah, that's how I connect. I slow down and I find stillness and silence. And from that, a deep connection truly is birthed. Alright, well, I definitely have a lot of other questions from you guys. I'm probably going to be answering them in other videos, but this is going to be it for now, because this video could be very, very long if I allow it to. But I loved chatting with you guys, and I loved speaking on what's on my heart, and I also wanted to say thank you for being curious of my journey and my thoughts and my path, because it really does mean a lot to know that I'm connecting to so many other like-minded individuals that care about me just in the same way that I care about them. So thank you guys for being here, and I hope that you guys are taking care of yourselves, taking some deep belly breaths and connecting with the earth. And if you guys have any other questions or any other ideas for videos that you would love me to do, definitely comment them down below, and I will see you guys in another video soon. Bye!